What's the deal, everybody? Welcome back to the studio. Jeremy Deal here, and today we're going to be going over a business-related topic matter. But first, thanks, Sam, for that cool Charlotte drone footage. Now, on to today's topic matter, we're going to be going over what should you hire first? An admin or administrator, or a second shooter for your business? Well, that really depends on how you want to grow your business and what you want it to look like in the future. So in this video, we're going to be going over a few pros and cons for each one of those. So hopefully you can decide how you want to run your business in the future. Let's go. Now, as I said on the top, there are really two different ways you can go about doing this. You can hire an admin first, or you can hire a second shooter first. And a lot of this, in my opinion, just really depends on how you run your business and how you want your business run in the future. Now, keep in mind, I am not a professional at anything other than photos. I can just tell you that all of my past experience in this industry have led me to these ideals and thought matters, and hopefully everywhere I've made mistakes in the past, I can pass that information on to you so you don't have to make those exact same mistakes.
I hope that you can learn from my mistakes, okay?
So let's get into really talking about the two and the benefits of each one. Now, when I was first starting off, I actually hired a second shooter first, and I'll tell you that I personally regret that decision. I should have hired an admin before a second shooter. The main issue I was having back then was scheduling conflicts. Anyone in this industry who's been around for a while will be able to tell you that scheduling and rescheduling happens quite often, and real estate agents expect you to be available and on the hook to them whenever they need to deal with that certain problem. So having an admin here really helps. Having someone always available to take a call anytime the agent reaches out, someone who's always available via email, able to change times really helps, because when I'm on site and I'm photographing a property, that time belongs to that client and I don't answer the phone. So anytime an agent would call me while I was currently shooting, I would have issues because I would instantly have to try and get back in touch with them as I was driving to my next shoot. And it became a very big cluster of trying to run a schedule, call people, and photograph, doing all that during the same day. I thought hiring a second shooter would help because I could send them out on shoots that I couldn't handle or ones that were too far away from me, and I could just handle the administrative duties in between. But I soon realized that this was actually an issue because it just exacerbated the original issue I was having, and that was my ability to quickly contact agents back and forth. Now let's kind of move on, because I don't want to drag on one topic matter for too long at any point, or else this video will be 45 minutes long and nobody wants to listen to me ramble for that long.
Look here, Poirot, haven't we all heard just about enough of this blarney?
So the next topic we're going to be talking about is deciding how you want your business to run in the future. There are really two different schools of thought here. You can either have, number one, a business in which you employ multiple photographers, videographers, and drone operators, and you have a large scale business, or you can have a word of mouth business that's really about you and your personal skills, not worrying about hiring anyone else, and instead of taking on more clients, just increasing your rate of pay. Those are two different schools of thought, and that's really something you need to decide in the beginning before you think about any of this. Do you want it to be your name, your quality, all about your photos, or do you want it to be a service for agents and brokers that allows them to quickly get their processes done, irrelevant of quality? That's the real two difference there. I'm not saying it has to be irrelevant of quality. You will be the quality control maker, but you know what I mean. I've noticed in this industry that real estate agents are also very personable and personality driven. So generally speaking, I have noticed that real estate agents will suggest certain photographers based on their personality over their photographic skills. It's rare I have a photographer on my team requested because their skills are higher, That would just be me. Just kidding. But seriously, generally speaking, people request people because of their personality and not their quality of photos. At least that's been my experience. So that's just another thing to keep in mind when trying to decide between hire a second shooter and an admin. If you hire a second shooter first, you are going to have to train that person to shoot exactly like you. Now, what I've noticed over time is that either you find someone with absolutely no photographic experience, so you can train them exactly how you want, or you have someone who has previous photographic experience and whatever they have done in the previous over time will seem to negate what you have taught them. Not saying this is the case every time. You can find photographers that you can train and do your style, which I have done, but it is not an easy process. Every time I've had to hire a new photographer, I have had to talk to like 50 people. It's very difficult to find someone who can not only do the task at hand, do it like you want them to do it, and also be personable on site. If you find someone with those three categories, you got to pay them well. Which goes on to my next topic of matter is the pay difference between an admin and a second shooter. If you want a quality second shooter that will hang around and you never have to worry about them trying to take your business, pay them well. I see a lot of people in these groups talking about paying their photographers 30% or 40% if they bring the client to them. I think that is insane. I start new photographers out at a 50% pay rate and will increase that up to 60 or 65% depending on what the task at hand is. The more expensive the charge the client is, the higher percentage that creator will make. So videographers generally make more percentage wise than photographers, because that's just the way it works, and that's how I run my business. I think all of my people need to be taken care of, and if you are to a point where you are going to be hiring someone else for your company, keep that in mind. You are now in charge of this person's well-being and their lifestyle. Do not treat them like garbage. Do not treat them like trash or someone that you can replace in an instant. If you think this person is trash, hire someone else. Hire people that match your viewpoint and where you're trying to go with your company. It's that simple. Now, an admin, in my experience overall, is more valuable and less expensive than a second shooter. Going back and redoing my business all over again, if I was to start from scratch right now, I would hire an admin over a second shooter first. I'm not saying second shooters aren't valuable, and I would still hire them. I would just reverse the process in which I did that. So that way it would have taken a lot of the load off of me, and I would have actually fixed the problem I needed fixed. A lot of people think hiring that second shooter will take a lot of workload off of them, but please keep in mind you will still be the one in charge of dictating all that phone conversation and scheduling. So if you're having an issue with scheduling, do the admin thing. I personally hired my wife to do so, and I pay her well in order to do so. We basically split everything I make, but there are other options out there. You can get a third party or a virtual assistant to help you. You can get an out of country assistant to help you. You can reach out to my buddy Sam at Zemi Designs I mentioned earlier in this video. He actually knows people who run entire teams of office administrators for a very nominal fee. Basically, anyone can afford if you are doing more than 10 shoots a month. And that's really everything I got, I think. Let me look at this. Let's see. Over here, let's just pull out my book. How about that? I'll read a little bit off to you. We've got admin first, spends. Aha, here's something I forgot about. Another thing to keep in mind when you're making these decisions about your business is what type of business owner do you want to be? Are you a photographer at heart and you really want to spend your days taking photos? If that's the case, then you should hire an admin first, because this will allow you to personally do more work and get more work accomplished, thus being behind the lens way more often. Now, if you are someone who is more interested in growing a company and connections and doesn't care about their behind the lens time, then maybe do a second shooter first. because you can send them on every job and you can handle all of the administrative work without ever having to go out and photograph and do any video work yourself. So like I said in the very beginning of this business, you really need to decide what type of business you want to run. Do you want to run a more service-oriented business, or do you personally just really enjoy doing photos and videos and that's why you're doing this to begin with? All that, like, subscribe, all that jazz. Keep rocking and rolling. Keep enjoying what you're doing. I know I rambled a lot, but I'm sure there was at least some valuable information in there, right? I'll catch you next time.